My name is Paula Hersey, and I am the Communications and Marketing Technology Manager for the Massachusetts Councils on Aging. We are the association that supports your Council on Aging and all 350 of them across Massachusetts. So it's a membership organization. We help folks in your Councils on Aging with professional development. So we do a lot of education and training for the staff of Councils on Aging. We do advocacy on the state and federal level as well. So that's how the grant funds and things like that get into your Councils on Aging, is we're up there on Beacon Hill saying older adults need this. And then we also collaborate. So we have a lot of partners out there in the state, including our state partner, which is the Office of Age and Independence, which is the state agency for older adults. AARP is another one that we collaborate with. All sorts of different health and wellness types of folks. So our organization really literally is the support system for your Council on Aging staff. Okay? Just kind of want to make sure everybody understands where I'm coming from. So my background is in technology. And what do I mean by that? It means that I was a web developer in a former life. For over 20 plus years, I have seen an enormous amount of change in technology in the last 30 years. It has been very fast. I want to say in the last 10 years, has accelerated in the last 5, and in the last year has gone in light speed. So there's a lot of different things out there that we're going to cover today. I'm going to cover some acronyms because I think people, if you can put the little letters together to what they actually mean, it might mean more for you. So I have a presentation, and then during that presentation, I can stop and ask questions. I tend to do most presentations with a little bit of humor, so be prepared to laugh. And I also have ADHD. I am a late diagnosis of that, so I may get off track. You'll have to bring me back. Okay? Let's get started. So, what is AI and machine learning? AI, artificial intelligence, is technology that allows computers to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, like recognizing speech or making decisions. Machine learning is a part of AI where computers improve by learning from data. For example, if you use a voice assistant like Alexa or Siri, the more you talk to it, the better it understands your voice and preferences. And I'm going to start with a couple of questions here for you. How many people have had an MRI or know what an MRI is, right? Guess what? That's been around a long time, huh? That's AI. No. Yes, it is. Right? Because what they do is they use that scan, and then the machine learns from that data and is able to help the physician actually make decisions about your body, right? And about your health. Now, how many people wear little watches? Ooh, you've got one. You've got one. Guess what? That's AI, right? So your Fitbit and your Apple Watch. How many people use a smartphone? Right? Those smartphones, AI. So all of this has been, I mean, Apple has had quite a few AI iterations with Siri, which is the AI assistant in the Apple product. So when you're thinking about AI and thinking how new it is, it's not. It's kind of old, right? It's been around. Now what's happened is within the human space of this, people are talking about it, right? And what's happened is some chatbots have come in, and I'm going to explain what that is as we get to the next slide. Okay? So everybody kind of understand that? So AI is, and then the data is the machine learning. Okay? How many people know someone who wears a glucose monitor for diabetics? Diabetes, right? That's also AI. So we'll get to the health benefits there as well. Right off the bat, we're going to talk about staying safe, right? On the paper that I gave you, your resources, there's lots of things there. Well, AI and ML, right, machine learning, is helpful. It's important to stay safe when you're using it. Some of the key ways to protect your personal data. This goes without saying with anything that you're doing on the World Wide Web and on the internet, right? Let's say, never enter your social security number, right? Banking details or passwords into an AI chatbot. Use strong passwords. Let me in 123 is not a strong password, even with the exclamation point. Okay? Check privacy settings. A lot of the chatbots, like ChatGPT, Gemini, they all have the ability to adjust privacy settings, and you can use these as well without accounts, so you can kind of hide some of your data as well. And then be cautious with scams. If an AI offers a deal that sounds too good to be true, it might be a scam, right? Okay? And then verify AI generated information. It isn't perfect, right? Because it's learning. Remember, we heard it's learning from the data that it gets. It doesn't know the data it doesn't have. So there will be mistakes. And I've seen some doozies out there, some big ones. Okay? And then double check the facts with a trusted source, right? And what would those trusted source? Let's take medical information right off the bat, right? Because we're always like WebMD. They're pretty trusted nowadays. They've been around for a long time, right? So you can trust those sources. So if you see something on that AI going, I don't know about that, your instincts are probably right, but you can double check it with a trusted source, the CDC, NIH, which is the National Institute for Health. Your local physician would always help you as well. Let's start with healthy aging, right? We all want to age healthy. What can AI do? It can support heart rate monitoring, activity, sleep, all of that, right? AI-powered tools like fitness trackers and medication reminders help us to stay active, eat better, and manage health conditions efficiently. Imagine wearing a smartwatch that reminds you to take a walk or drink water. It's like having a personal coach on your wrist. Key ways AI in a smartwatch can support your health. All of those AI algorithms can analyze your heart rate data to detect irregularities like AFib, potentially alerting you to a serious heart condition. Activity tracking, beyond just counting steps, AI can analyze your movement patterns to identify optimal workout intensity, suggest adjustments to improve form, and provide personalized fitness goals. Sleep analysis, that's a big one for me, right? AI can interpret your sleep patterns, identifying potential sleep disorders like sleep apnea, and providing recommendations to improve your quality of sleep. Stress detection, all right? By monitoring your heart rate variability, AI can assess your stress levels and provide relaxation techniques or mindfulness exercises when needed. And then early disease detection. AI can analyze over time to identify subtle changes that may indicate the onset of chronic diseases like diabetes, hypertension, thus enabling early intervention. And then personalized insights based on your health, data, and lifestyle. AI can generate customized recommendations for nutrition, hydration, and exercise routines. And then emergency alerts. In case of a sudden drop in heart rate or other critical health events, AI can automatically trigger emergency notifications to designated contacts. Medication reminders. AI can remind you to take medication scheduled at times and track your medication adherence. Wow, right? So when you think about AI being scary, it's the news that's giving you that, the chat GPTs and things like that. Let's spend a little bit of time on what AI can do safely. And that is some medical health challenges that people have. Or if you don't have the challenges, making sure that you stay healthy. I wear an Apple Watch, and this Apple Watch tells me how I sleep every single night. Every night. It tells me what kind of deep sleep I got. It tells me how many times I woke up. It tells me that my husband is snoring. And it also gives me a brief when my heart rate goes up. It gives me a little thing. I have it as a reminder to take a moment and breathe, right? So there's some mindfulness pieces here as well. And then additionally, I work out with this watch. So it also tracks my activity. So I have a goal of every day of expending 500 calories in activity. So I have to get a walk in every morning with the dogs for 2 miles. I do some strength training in the afternoon, and then I also do an indoor cycling. And then when I'm out and about, it counts my steps, right? So I have a kind of a good idea of what my health looks like through my watch. On the flip side of that, my husband goes in for a hip replacement, and they find AFib. Huh. Never knew. He's 75. Never knew. Went undetected all those years. Guess what? It'll detect it on his watch. And it'll keep that information, and we can transmit that information to his doctor. Right? He's fine. Takes a couple Eliquis twice a day. We're good. Right? Now, my mom, who has some memory care challenges at 92, can't remember to take her diabetes insulin, right? What do? Guess what? The glucose monitor, beep, 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 you're low or high, right? And then over time, as it analyzes that insulin level, it transmits to the doctor. So when she goes into her doctor's visits, she has the ability to make sure that he already knows what she's doing. She can't really tell him nowadays, right? So when you think about those types of things, we also, before my dad passed away, we hooked up his watch to give him the alert, right? Because she would like look at it and go, I don't know. But then my dad got it and he'd be like, oh, hey, Ginny, take your insulin. Right? So there's some good things here, some good stuff not to be afraid of. This is probably the favorite section that I have with older adults because who doesn't love to travel, right? Even if it's just over the bridge. I live on Cape Cod. Every now and again, my husband, who was born and raised in Hyannis on Ocean Street, will go, we got to go over the bridge for that? I'm like, yeah, we just started camping last year, so I set up a bunch of chats with ChatGPT to find some new camping places, but it can personalize itineraries. I will show you a lifetime trip that we wanted to take to Portugal. I did the entire itinerary, including how much it was going to cost, what our transportation between places was, our hotels, what food to try, all of it done in ChatGPT. Okay? So it can assist in planning trips by finding the best prices, suggesting accessible attractions, right? Accessibility is a big thing. Providing real-time navigation updates. How many people use Google Maps or Waze or something like that, right? That's a big piece. So now, police ahead, that's for me. But also, the bridge is closed because there's an accident. That's AI, right? So I know that I should get off on exit 3 because I've got to now take the Bourne Bridge instead of the Sagamore. Okay, so there's some good stuff there. Google Maps will tell you the best time to leave to avoid traffic. And apps like Hopper predict flight prices. Prices will drop just like a travel-savvy friend. There's Hopper is one, and then Kayak is another one. Both of those are AI engines in travel that'll give you good pricing on especially airline tickets and hotels. This is a big one. Your physician is using AI. Some. Not a lot. There's a lot of folks still in the medical world that have resisted this, but a lot of the newer doctors, and especially your community health centers, are using AI. In the old days, doctors literally would sit there and write. And then there would be some poor, most often a woman, in a back office trying to decipher that, right? Because their writing is terrible. So now AI is kind of doing that function for them. It's not necessarily making medical decisions for them, but what it's doing is it's capturing your data that you're telling them, and then being able to transcribe that into, everybody use a My Chart here? Yeah. So your My Chart will have that summary. And it does say right off the bat that it's AI. But a physician has to review that before it gets posted. Right. So this gentleman in the front's hard of hearing. So what AI does, it allows the physician to concentrate on you and not taking notes. Right? So there's a big piece there that I think people miss when they talk about AI. The healthcare and medical field really, really has some great resources now to help everyone achieve better health outcomes, right? Great. Language assistance. This is fantastic. And perhaps maybe for somebody who has hearing challenges, you can use the Google AI Assistant to help you. It can actually, in fact, I know that AirPod 2, the AirPods for the iPhone, can be used as hearing aids. We did this with my mom. And when you call her on the phone, she can hear you now. It's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
She's wearing them, obviously, all the time.
Pretty much most of the time now. I mean, she's in memory care now, so it's a little bit more challenging. But in this, my dad wore them almost all the time as well, if he was out in public, because he could bring up the translate. So it's speech to text. Somebody, he says, talk here. It talks, and then he can read what they said. Yeah, any of the modern things. So again, AirPods are one that we use, but any of those modern hearing aids also have what we call Bluetooth technologies, which can transmit to a smart device. Okay, so that's a great thing. The other thing that it can do is it can translate. So when we were in Portugal, and I'll learn a little bit of the language. I'm not great with languages because, again, ADHD, no focus for that. So I learned where the bathroom is. That's the first one, right? But I was able to say something and translate it to Portuguese for someone else if they didn't speak English. Or if they were speaking Portuguese, they could speak into the phone and it would translate back to English to me. It's fantastic. Google Translate, completely free, smartphone app, both sides, Android or iPhones. Highly recommend, even if you don't need it, have it on your phone, because there may be a point in time that somebody next to you may need it. Okay? It helps break the language barriers. The translation apps with speech-to-text tools, making communication easier when traveling or learning a new language. So there's apps out there. One that I used was called Duolingo. Anybody ever heard of that? Yeah. That's AI. Another one, Rosetta Stone, might be one that people are familiar with. They have a new app out also with AI. So what it does is it figures out, it can hear your speech and let you know if you're got the right inflection on the vowel, for one thing. But two, it can have a conversation with you. Because that, to me, is a little bit easier to learn a language, is by having a conversation rather than just trying to learn words. I highly suggest learning the word bathroom wherever you go. Research and planning. AI tools like ChatGPT and Google Search help with gathering information, making to-do lists, and managing schedules. Need a quick recipe for dinner? Ask AI Assistant for a simple meal using ingredients you already have. This is like probably one of the more important things that I use AI for. I use it a lot in work, right? I have a heavy schedule. I manage communications internally for our staff of 9, and then I handle externally communications for 350 councils on aging, right? So I have to push information out to all of them. They can be done regionally. Schedules, my schedule is crazy. Like today I'm in Bourne, tomorrow I'm in Watertown and Cambridge. Friday I'm going camping. But the thing is that I don't always have time to meal plan. I put it on my to-do list every weekend on Saturday. I put it meal plan and prep. Tuesday comes around, today Tuesday. I'm going to look in my refrigerator and then I'm going to type into ChatGPT. I have sausage that may be okay, limp broccoli, and kale that's seen a better day. And it'll probably tell me to make a Tuscan kale soup, right? Because everybody's got a potato hanging around somewhere, right? So using that recipe piece of it. Also, I'm kind of like a fitness nut. So I use it to make sure that my dietary needs are being met with macronutrients. So am I getting enough protein every day? Am I getting enough water every day? So I'll do different types of menus based upon the kind of training that I'm doing each day or each week. You know, strength training, you use more protein in your body for recovery in your muscles. So I'm using it a lot. I use it a lot as well for detailed responses. Sometimes there's that email that you're like, ugh, I don't know how to say, no, I don't want to do this. ChatGPT is your new best friend. Or Gemini or Claude, and we'll go into the engines at the end of this. We're going to do some practice together. But it helps me write those emails that are difficult to make sure that they're professional. Like sometimes staff might do things that I'm like, so I tell ChatGPT, please respond to this email in a professional, gentle way. That, don't do that. Right? So how about things that are happening in your town? And you want to write to your representative, your state representative, or your federal representative, right? There's ways that you can use ChatGPT to take a bill that might be sitting in the House, Senate, and say, I'm interested in this, supporting this bill, and I want my senator or my representative to know why. And you can put in some of the reasons, and it'll write that email for you. Okay? It's not cheating. What it is, it's being smart. It's working smarter, not harder. Okay? It's also good to know that it has limitations too. Sometimes I just got to write the email and what I'm feeling inside. And I still use the word, don't do that. So, you're all going to become prompt engineers today. And what does that mean, right? The key to getting good results from AI is to ask clear and specific questions or give it clear and specific direction, right? This is called prompt engineering, and it helps AI provide accurate and useful responses. Okay? So instead of tell me about an exercise, what are 5 easy exercises for 70-year-olds with arthritis? Right? Because if you put in tell me about an easy exercise, the engine doesn't know, it doesn't have the data, right? So you're going to be that engineer. I'm going to make all of you engineers today. And I'll give you an example. My husband, he should be sitting in that chair right there because I do all of it for him. He's lucky in that way. Will search for cigars. What he's really looking for is a particular cigar on sale, or he might be looking for ratings on a new cigar. He might be looking what pairs well with a glass of bourbon. You know, we don't know. He just said cigars. It doesn't know either, right? So I'm like, well, if you gave it more information, like what pairs well with Maker's Mark, you might get a better result. So the other piece of that is men and women search differently on Google. So think about that. Think about how you put things into Google when you search. Women tend to write in a complete sentence. Next time you're on Google, think about that. Men may use 1 or 2 words, right? I'm going to tell you, the more words that you use in these chatbots, the better results that you're going to get, okay? And it's iterative. So what does that mean is that you can put something in, and if it's not quite right, you can put something else in to change that or to add to it. So it will, it's generative, which is great, okay? So we're going to do some ChatGPT today, but I want to go over what a chat bot is, right? So chat bots are those things. So how many people use Google most often, right? Seems to be so Google has embedded Gemini, their chatbot, into their search engine. I'm not a fan yet, because it seems like what it does is it scrapes websites for content, for data, and then spits out a solution. At the very top, you'll see a little paragraph about what you've asked Google. That's new, right? It's probably about maybe a year old or so, but it's been embedded a little harder now. So you see it at almost every search, you'll see this. So that's great, but my feeling is that I still want to scroll down and see the websites that it's produced on that search. Because that content, that data might not, 1, be completely applicable to what you're looking for, but 2, it may be wrong, right? Because it's just pulling off of a website. Yes. There is a Gemini. I think it's gemini.google.com. I'll show you those in a different screen. Yes, there is chatgpt.com.
How about Claude?
And claudeai.com, correct.
You can go to those.
Yep, and on your paper, those are there for you. At this point in time, I don't usually do a lot just in Gemini. I tend to use Gemini more in my personal life than I use ChatGPT in personal life. I use ChatGPT and Claude specifically in my professional life. Claude, so there's competing companies. The top one is OpenAI. That's the company that produces ChatGPT, Sam Altman. He's in a fight with Elon Musk. Gemini is Google. They did, in the old days, say they were going to do no evil. I'm not so sure they're adhering to that anymore. And Claude AI is in a fight with the federal government. They are Anthropic. That is their company. And they have said that the federal government, specifically the Defense Department, cannot use their engine until they have safeguards in place. So those are the 3 top ones. There are more out there. And again, some of them are niche, which would be to travel or to fitness or to health or things like that. I think WebMD has now put in an AI chatbot engine as well. And you will see this, I've seen it actually in some municipalities. I have seen down in the corner, it'll say, I'm a little chatbot, or my name is thing, ask me a question. Those are a little bit different. Those are pre-populated with data that the town or the entity says it's okay to put in there. So for example, having been a web developer for 20 plus years, people who design websites don't always think about the user. And I will pick on municipalities at this because they put content and you're searching forever on the town website. Like, where is this? Like, all I want to know is where my taxes are, how to pay my taxes. So these chatbots are actually taking the ability for you to ask a question, and it will take the content from the website. It's not making it up. Yes? Yes, so the privacy pieces of this, you can create accounts, which will then log your content, right? You can not use an account and be anonymous and tell it to forget your content. And every single one of them has privacy settings. So that's, again, on your sheet here. You really kind of want to look at each one. If you're going to use just one, explore those privacy settings first. Yes. No, you can use that for free. What it does is it limits how much you can use it. So for example, a lot of those engines are doing video and photographs now, or pictures. Those tend to use a paid account. The settings work if you create an account. You can create an account. It comes back to your browser, Chrome or Edge or whatever you're using to access websites on the internet. They have privacy settings as well, and I highly suggest reviewing those to make sure that what you say for your data is yours. We review those once a year because they do change when the browser updates. And I know specifically the Apple browser, which is Safari, has very high-end security settings. You can block a whole bunch of stuff with that. My husband is on the Safari. I still use Google. So in this particular case, what you really want to do is spend some time and understand what the data pieces are. ChatGPT seems to be a little bit more loosey-goosey with privacy and settings and data, whereas the Claude AI, which is made for business, tends to be a lot more strict. Gemini is somewhere in the middle because you can control it because everybody's using Google and everybody's got a Gmail account and things like that. So you have a lot more options for security settings in Chrome. One of the things that I have learned over the years, press 0. No, seriously.
Really?
Yeah, it'll go to a live agent. Almost, I want to say probably 80% of the time now. It depends. I know that a lot of your medical places like Tufts and Harvard and things like that, Harvard Pilgrim, if you hit 0, it brings you to a live agent. My mom, with her memory challenges, before she went into memory care after my dad passed away, would literally have a conversation with the chatbot on the phone and then not understand why her medication didn't come in because she didn't actually order it. So, they're problematic. I'm not a fan of that, of chatbots on the phone. I'm calling you for a specific reason. But I do understand the business side of that sometimes, because we've all had the challenges with language as well. So help desk is a little less expensive to do out of India than it is in the United States, but it's harder for us to understand sometimes with those dialects. So, what's the happy medium here? So, as we continue this revolution into technology, sometimes it's the pushback by you, by the people that say, I don't like this. I know that there has been companies out there that have literally done away with the chatbot on their phone because of the pushback from people who say, I can't get through, I don't understand, it doesn't help me. Express Scripts is the worst, right? Because it's a chatbot. So if you're ordering by mail through Express Scripts, like literally my mom would have a conversation with this chatbot and then the insulin would never come in. Or your settings. So if you create a ChatGPT account, your settings are right there, okay? And it has all sorts of things: data control, storage, safety, security and login, parental controls, trusted contact account, all of those things. I highly recommend reviewing these settings, okay? The other one, somebody asked about Gemini and Google. So if I said recipes for strength training, it gives me an AI overview, almost everything that you do on Google now, okay? So the show more is basically where it's coming. Ooh, Big Mac bowl. I like Big Macs. Muscle building, lean steak, so on and so forth, right? And then here, when you see the show more and it says ask anything, that's Gemini. It's built into Google Chrome now. It's built into the piece. But you can, the question was, can you go to Gemini? And it's gemini.google.com. And it's basically the same thing. Okay? So, in this particular case, hidden poem, holiday poem, you can do all sorts of different things in here. So, my preferred right now is ChatGPT. So, if I want to do, sorry. Let's do this. I want to travel to Portugal using public transportation while there, and visit Porto, Nazaré, and Lisbon. It doesn't care how you spell either, which is great.
You can talk into it too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, you can use the little microphone here as well. And I have to tell you, their public transportation was awesome. Their buses run on natural gas. There isn't a smell of diesel in any of the cities that we went to. It was amazing. Okay? So this is just rudimentary, right? I've asked it to create something for me. I can now go back and see where it says ask anything here. A 9-day itinerary, Porto, travel to Nazaré by bus. Day 4 and 5 in Nazaré, travel to Lisbon, gives me the highlights. Optional day trips by train, transportation, budgets per person, best time to go, why this route works well. I can now say suggest hotels and restaurants. and it pops a map for you. It's absolutely amazing. Now, a lot of this, again, is generative. So that ask anything, I can now say to it, like I may look at something there and go, you know, I don't really want to go there, or I want to do this instead. I can put that in there and then have it adjust. Right? So that's pretty cool. Another thing that you can do, for example, is I'm going to do a new chat. Right? That's just an example of travel. I'm going to do a new chat, create a high protein weekly menu for a 61-year-old female. For a 60-year-old female who is highly active and hates oatmeal. Because every time I do this, it brings back oatmeal. I'm like, ugh. There we go. So now it's giving me, number one, it gives me the menu, but it also gives me the gram of protein. Right? So for me to track those protein levels, especially when I'm strength training, is really important for making sure that my muscles recover. Okay? And then it goes through, and it gives me Monday, and then Tuesday, right through the week. Ooh, breakfast burrito. Yum. Okay? So those are some of the kind of like the pieces of AI. Now, when you look at what they talk about in the news, let's talk a little bit about that. So you can, I think I might be able to do this. I don't know. I have a Chiweenie. It's a Dachshund and Chihuahua. I personally find the image piece, I'm a photographer, videographer, and I find the image piece creepy. I just do, and I can spot it a mile away. One of the ways to find... Yes and no. I mean, like pictures of people, this is where those deep fakes come in. You hear that term a lot in the news. I can tell you right now, look for an extra arm or missing fingers. Literally, stop and look at the image. Look at the feet, the legs, the arms, and the fingers. AI never gets it right. Aww. Isn't he adorable? And it's actually kind of close. That does look like Nickerson, a little bit. Okay? So the free versions of these will give you some images, and then they're going to say, hey, pony up. I want some money. Oh. Right? You'll get a couple of free things with those free accounts. You won't get a lot. Okay? But again, in my case, most of that looks pretty accurate. Right? It does look like he's got an extra paw, though. See?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But that might just be the dew claw. So, but again, just be careful when you're looking at these images, whether they're really well and truly an image. And this is, I say this specifically with celebrities and government officials, right? Because people are using this for nefarious purposes. So you just want to look before you share something, right? Because it might not actually be true. And a lot of that's on Facebook. A lot of it is on Facebook and some of the other social media sites, Instagram, TikTok, that kind of stuff. Okay? What they are doing right now is charging for storage. And that's a big one. And I do pay for it. I have physical drives that I store video and photographs on. but then I also do cloud storage as well. And this is specific so I can share out to family and things like that. It's a little bit easier for me. But yeah, that's a great question. As far as I know, Apple and Google do not have paid access to their tools. They may reduce what you can use within that compared to a business account, but I haven't heard anything that they would be charging for it. So if you have Alexa in your home, it does listen to you pretty much 24/7 unless you have restricted or told it to forget information. I regularly do that. We do use Alexa in our home, mostly for the weather, because we live on Cape Cod, and right? It's like, what am I wearing today? Or the Red Sox score. Oh my gosh, 14 games in a row. Woohoo! Right? And then Drake May and his Thursday season. I'm a huge sports fan, so I use Alexa for a lot of that kind of stuff. But yes, there are. Facebook is usually the biggest culprit of you seeing something. It tracks your voice, and it tracks your web browsing. You can turn it off, and I highly recommend that you do, unless you want to see something. Alexa has an app as well, and you can go in and erase your information.
Or if I
Or stop. Yes, again, that app. There's an app that can go on your phone for Alexa,
Okay.
and it'll interface with the device that you have, and you can tell it to forget that information. A lot of the times you can actually, if you're using the microphone to text piece of it, you can use punctuation and say period or question mark. So that's a good kind of thing to learn. And then the other one is to say stop and repeat. We laugh about this, but MIT and Scientific, I can't remember the full name of the company in Boston, Logic,
Is it Boston Scientific?
Boston Scientific, has the dog, has the robot dog.
Yes.
That thing is cool, right? I mean, wouldn't pee on the floor, right? Don't have to walk it, don't need to water it. The Museum of Science actually has one as a display. It's really, really quite neat. And that's probably the next iteration to AI, is to start to create, well, the devices are probably already being created as we speak. MIT and some of those other colleges out there are doing an enormous amount of work. Like the whole Roomba thing, like the vacuum, that thing's brilliant. And then I saw one that's a lawnmower.
Yes.
And every time I go by it, I'm like, oh, hey, buddy. Right? Because, again, some of these advances seem scary because of how they're talked about in the news. You know, and there are some things in AI, and I'll leave you with this, because we are in a environmental dilemma with this technology, right? It uses an enormous amount of electricity. Having been in web development and a professional in technology for the better part of 35 years, these data centers take an enormous amount of energy, but they also take an enormous amount of water to cool those computers down, because the computing is very intense. So that water is used to cool those. It has ramifications for your neighborhoods and for your environmental integrity of your communities. That's something that we need to balance. We need to find ways to help continue the technology and to continue to advance it. In my own personal opinion, is we need some regulatory piece around this as well. I have come from government. I worked for the town of Barnstable for a number of years. I don't always agree with regulatory pieces, but I think this is one of them. I think we need some guardrails, especially in the cases of images and children and all of that connotation. There's a lot of things to consider. I'm watching the EU very, very carefully right now, because they do seem to be tackling this. they're not coming to any consensus yet, but they are talking about it. So I think that's another important piece. So I'll take one last question if somebody has it, but I think we're right at our time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.